Gentleman from Tennessee, Mr. Rose, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairwoman Waters and Ranking Member McHenry, for holding the hearing today, and thank you, Chair Powell, for being here with us. A few moments ago, Mr. Himes noted that the American Recovery Plan, I think he meant American Rescue Plan, is not mentioned in the Monetary Policy Report. Chair Powell, is it Federal Reserve practice to comment on bills passed by Congress in the Monetary Policy Report?
No.
Turning to a question that we've obviously talked a lot about today already, you have inflation and rising prices on things like food and fuel are having a devastating impact on people all across Middle Tennessee and indeed across the country. You have told us that you will not comment on fiscal policy, but you have also previously urged Congress to support fiscal spending, some of which caused this inflation, in my view. Democrats are still pushing a reckless spending proposal, although reports are that it will be smaller than the one they tried to ram through Congress late last year. So, Chair Powell, will you commit to pushing back as strongly against reckless spending proposals that would exacerbate the current inflation as much as you push Congress to support more fiscal spending during the pandemic?
So I didn't support any particular bill, but I did say that there was more to be done. And I, by the way, I completely ended that practice at the end of 2020. Was it 20 or 21? Anyway, 2020. I completely stopped talking about that publicly at all. And the reason I did it before was, first of all, I was being encouraged by leadership on both sides of the hill in both parties. They were asking me for ideas. Don't you think we need to do something more? Can you help us? That kind of thing. But that's all done. That's over with. And the Fed should not play or seek to play a role in fiscal policy. We have our own mandate. We sure need to stick to that now.
In light of that statement, would you agree with this statement that the analysis that the Fed had through much of last year and that the administration to some extent continues to advance, with respect to inflation and the policy prescriptions has proven to be far more transitory than the inflation itself?
Well, if I understand your question, we did think that these were going to be passing forces. We thought that these shocks that were hitting, supply-side shocks, we thought they would be like oil shocks have been, where they come and go, and other supply-side shocks, commodity shocks of various kinds. As the course of 2021 went on, it became increasingly clear, particularly in the fall, that wasn't going to be the case. We weren't going to see that kind of progress, and we pivoted. 7 months ago now, we pivoted to address this with our policy tools. I think our judgment in real time proved to be incorrect, but it was not an irrational judgment, and it was one that was very widely held at the time by other central banks and economists generally. And but it wasn't about economics. It was, how long is this going to last? Are these things that are happening to our economy, which are unprecedented, are they going to get better? Like, for example, millions of people dropping out of the labor force, or the problems we have with the global supply chains. There was no model of that. We can't look at the last 20 times it happened. So that's, for sure, in hindsight, it was not transitory.
Thank you. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget estimated that canceling federal student loan debt held by Americans could increase the inflation rate as much as 0.5 percentage point and would add $1.6 trillion to the national debt. This estimate notably also did not incorporate the possible effect that student debt cancellation would have on increased college tuition prices. Chair Powell, has the Fed done any analysis on the inflationary impact of these proposals to forgive student loans being actively considered by congressional Democrats in the administration?
Not that I know of. We would look to CBO and legislation. We tend to start to put it in our models of the economy when we think there's really likely going to be legislation.
Generally, though, would you expect forgiving $1.6 trillion in debt, whether it's student loan debt or credit card debt, to have an inflationary impact?
Well, I'm going to leave that to CBO to score, and also the Office of Management and Budget. We just routinely do not score congressional proposals it would get us involved in political things, and, you know, why would we be independent then? So to be independent, we need to be out of these very difficult fiscal issues, which are really your job.
Thank you, Chair Powell. I yield back.
Thank you. The gentlewoman